Okay, so before we get started, I just want to let you guys know what I'm doing. I'm going to switch things up a little bit. I was going to review all of these separately. I actually did one of these reviews over my lunch break, like a day or two ago. But what I decided to do was edit it all together and just do kind of a little super review and get them all out of the way so you guys can, you know, kind of see what I think about the figures that I managed to get. Now, I have practically the whole series minus Carnage, and I gave away the Collect and Connect parts. I was going to put them up here and see if anybody needed them, but one of my homeboys, good friend of mine, been friends for a long time, he came by, saw these. I actually got him back into collecting figures by showing him this the Amazing Spider-Man 2, you know, Spider-Man figure, and he just kept getting them. So I gave him the majority of my Ultimate Goblin, because I'm not interested in the Ultimate Goblin at all, especially because he is a retooling of the Avengers movie series Hulk, which I love, and it's one of my favorite versions of the Hulk, and I refuse to you know, buy a retooling. That's just how I feel. It's artistic integrity. I can't. It just seems like such a waste, or, you know, like it was an opportunity for them to sculpt a different kind of musculature and a different character, and it doesn't look the same when you take the movie version of a character and then try to sculpt a comic accurate character. You feel what I'm saying? Because there's a difference between the sculpts for movie figures versus comic accurate figures. So like when you're looking at, like, you know, Superior Spider-Man, you see his musculature, the textures, everything is smooth because it's comic book accurate. It's typically how they do stuff. You look at the Amazing Spider-Man 2 Spider-Man figure, and there's texture all over the place because it's one of the simple differences between movies versus, you know, comics. The same goes for the Hulk. The Goblin should have cartoony proportions because he's a comic book character, you know what I mean? And he hasn't shown up in a movie yet. So anyway, that's my logic for that. So anyway, sit back, relax. I am going to blab for a good long time about these 4 figures. Everyone minus Carnage. Go! What's up, my ninjas? So here is Electro. I have him with his broccoli hands, or his branch hands, or his unlimited power hands, and yeah, it's kind of cool. The first thing I want to point out, though, and I'll have a close-up, you know, picture of him, is just why doesn't he look like Jamie Foxx? Like, I want someone to explain to me past the usual, you know, just people thinking they know what happened. What happened? Why couldn't he look like Jamie Foxx? I mean, we can see clearly he does not look like Jamie Foxx at all. Neither of the two heads actually look like Jamie Foxx. I mean, was it that difficult? I mean, what the fuck? That does not look like Jamie Foxx at all, in any way, shape, or form. What, was he too famous? Did he ask for too much money? Did he say, I want more money, so that he said, no, listen, player, I want more money. Understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? And they said, fuck you, Jamie, and then they didn't give him money. I mean, what was the deal? Or did they just say, oh, no one will notice that Electro does not look like the actor in the game, in the thing? I mean, this is clearly a white guy's face. You know what I mean? Like 100%. And they didn't even try to mimic, you know, Fox's face, or the fact that the character in the movie is actually brown. You know what I'm saying? So I don't get that. So, you know, boo to them for that. But anyway, Electro comes with 2 heads. There's this head, and then there is the stuff popping out of my eyes head. and it's just weird. Like, a lot of people said, ODC, that's me, said it. I saw others say it too. He looks like Mr. Freeze, doesn't it? Especially this head with the crazy stuff coming out of it. It looks just like, let me move him back here. He looks like Mr. Freeze. I don't know what else to tell people. Doesn't really look like Electro, but it kind of, I guess, harkens back to Ultimate Electro, so I can't complain too much. But you know, I'm kind of like, man, that's just not, it's not necessarily the best look in my opinion, the Ultimate Electro, you know, design. But you know, it's kind of cool. I guess it could always have been worse. I love the fact that the costume is mostly black and it's shiny, so that when you do things like what I'm doing here, I have him posed on top of a light, so you see that underlit kind of you know, design, that under lighting. He's bottom lit, I guess is what I was trying to say. God, my brain is just like, kids don't do drugs. And I don't do drugs, but you know, the last couple days I've been on some drugs and it's not fun. I don't enjoy it. But anyway, yeah, you see how you get the nice shine on him, and it kind of looks like what you see in artwork when they color, they kind of add the brights to, you know, kind of accentuate the darks and the curves and stuff like that. It looks really cool. There's the back. It's real shiny and strange texture. He kind of looks like he got kicked out of the X-Men movies with this biker suit shit going on, you know. It wouldn't surprise me if this parts of this body are the Cyclops. Toy Biz did a Cyclops figure that had, actually, it might have been Hasbro also that did one. They did a Colossus from X3 and they did a Cyclops as well as a Wolverine from X3. So it wouldn't surprise me if part of this is reused from that, you know, because it does have that feel to it. But it's a cool looking suit. I like it. The fact that it's shiny really sets it off, and it also makes you realize that they didn't need to do this.
Yeah, the fact that it's black and shiny, it kind of shows that they really didn't need to put all this spray, you know, airbrush all over it to simulate light. You could have done that just by having your light shine down on him. I can show you that, you know what I'm saying? Like, look, we'll do it on his back. You see how the light is shining down on him? And you get that effect. So, and that looks better. So I don't know what they were doing. I'm not pleased with that, but whatever, you know. I switched one of his hands so you can see he comes with a pair of fists. And then he comes with, like I showed you earlier, the crap is coming out of my eyes head. I don't really like it that much. But there's not really too much to the figure. It's a decent figure. I never had Electro, so I guess it works for me. That's it for Electro. He's a decent figure. He does come with the a Build-A-Figure piece. You know me, I don't care about Build-A-Figures. I actually gave away all the parts already. So, but you guys know what parts he comes with. The important thing is, if you don't have an Electro, he's a decent figure. There are worse figures you could get, you know what I'm saying? And he's not one of the worst figures. I mean, of the bunch, he's not the greatest. So, yeah, it's one of those things. Get him if you need an Electro figure. He's very posable. I'll go through his posability with you, or his articulation. It's the standard Marvel Legends articulation. If you don't know by now, then you need to ask somebody. So the head is on a disc, or I'm sorry, a ball joint, so you get the up and down motion really nice. It's also on a hinge. You can see the hinge underneath there, right there, so you can look down really far and you can look up pretty far. So if he wants to shoot up, it's very easy to do that. And side to side is simple. Very nice head movement. Ball socketed, ball disc shoulders, swivel at the bicep, double jointed elbows, swivel wrist with a hinge, just in case he farts, you know, and he wants to. Ooh-wee. Nice ab crunch. You know me, I love the ab crunch. Soda spoiled me with that, with the Street Fighter figures. It only goes back about that far. So you can get that grindage going. Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Ball socketed hip with a thigh swivel, double jointed knees. So essentially everything in the arm is mirrored in the leg. You've got a twist at the boot, and then you've got a swivel and a hinge with slight restriction at the back of the foot due to the pants cut right there. So, you know, you can get some decent poses with him. Really decent poses, and I like that. He looks pretty cool. Very simple as far as movie figures go. He's definitely not the worst. I mean, the suit pretty much looks like what the movie suit looks like, so we can't really complain that much, you know? So, I would recommend him only if you don't have an Electro and you're an Electro fan and you need to have one. There are marks against him since he doesn't look like Jamie Foxx. That pisses me off. But, you know, besides that, like I said, it's a decent figure. So, pick him up if you get the chance. I'm sorry, I have to do this though. Unlimited power! Anyway, yeah.
So now we move on to a really good figure, kind of almost a tie for the best figure, you know, as far as posability goes, in the whole entire wave or line, and that would be the Superior Spider-Man. So I'm gonna pose him a little bit, put Electro back, and then get into it. And I know, even though he's called the Superior Spider-Man, some people think he's better than the regular Spidey, but I do not. He is not.
I'm gonna pose him up real quick, and then I'm gonna, you know, talk about him. I'm sorry for the dead air. So, Doc Ock and Spider-Man's body, that story was all controversial and shit, and people were really mad, and then they got over it because it was well written and, you know, shook up the Spider-Man books, because we all knew, if you've been paying attention to Marvel for any amount of time, we all know that nothing lasts forever in Marvel Comics, especially death. Death is always one of those things that is, it's always temporary for Marvel characters, you know? So, this character has a lot of the good. He has a lot of the good, and he has a couple things that I guess some people might think are bad, which, you know, they're really simple things. Like, a lot of the detail, if not all the detail on this figure, is all painted, except for his eyes. And there's these little tips on his, there's these little tip things on his fingers, you know? So, like, I'll show you his hand from an angle, and you should be able to see that. Do you see it? If you put his, you see those little beady things that kind of pop off his fingers? See what I'm saying? He actually has those in the comic books. I don't remember what the reason was, you know? I've been reading the Superior Spider-Man, but in a kind of, like a skimming kind of way. I'm not really feeling it, you know? Spider-Man books haven't been the same since Straczynski stopped writing them all those years back, because I felt like he was finally changing, and it was getting better, and it was getting more involved, and then they just were like, yeah, fuck all that. Change? What the fuck is change? Let's get rid of that shit. And everything went back to the same way it was before, and to me, that's lame. But, the figure's cool. There's some things about it that I don't necessarily think would make it better, but from a aesthetic point of view, all the articulation on this figure, it kind of works to make the figure look good from almost any pose, you know? Whereas the Amazing Spider-Man 2 movie figure, he has cool articulation, but his design doesn't always look so awesome from, you know, every angle. You know what I'm saying? Like, because of the articulation kind of being weird, especially around his the butterfly joint, you know, in his legs. I mean, in his arms. It makes him look kind of funky, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yeah, they shouldn't have done it like that. So, range of motion. This was the thing that I was talking about. Me and my homeboy Watson were talking about that. There is a limit to the amount of butterfly that Superior Spider-Man has in comparison to the movie Spider-Man. That's as far back as he can go. I'll look up at it from the top so you can see. So the skinnier one has more range of motion, which I like, in his butterfly joint. But then you lose the sculpt. You see what I'm saying? It looks kind of funky, whereas his looks contained and it looks like a shoulder. So, you know, it depends on how picky you are. To me, they both look good. I don't really have the issues that some folks have. But, you know, to some, that might look kind of shitty and they may not want that. You know what I'm saying? So, it's all preference. Also, ab crunch. His ab crunch allows him to dip down a lot deeper and further. Wow, that just sounded so... Get your minds out of the gutter, people. It lets him duck down further so he can get into more Spidey-like poses, you know what I'm saying? And that's how it is with Spider-Man. It's all about those weird crouching, you know, creeping kind of poses. Whereas, like, this, the Amazing Spider-Man Spidey figure, this is as far as he can get down. So, you know, side by side. And I haven't seen this done yet with any of the reviews, so, you know, I figured I'd do it. So just so you guys can see them side by side, you can see that, you know, one has a certain, you know, it's just a little bit of a difference when it comes to range of motion. I'll move them over a little bit more so that you guys can really see, and it's not against characters with colors that kind of conflict. But, you know, the Superior Spider-Man is mostly black, so it should be easier for you to see. But you see what I'm saying? They kind of have a little bit of a difference as far as their crouch goes, but that doesn't really make or break the figure. As far as the accessories, both of them came with alternate hands. The weird thing is that he comes with two Thwippy hands, really nicely sculpted, and they're big. I like that. They're much bigger than, you know, these hands. And then he comes with hands to hold on to webbing. And now this is only cool if you have the webbing from the Amazing Spider-Man 1 or the Miles Morales figure or any of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, those would be the figures that would work with you. If you don't have those, then tube wiring would actually work really well, as you can see, because it kind of looks the part. I mean, you could also use twist ties. A lot of people do that really well. That's just time consuming. I don't have the patience. I used to use fishing line, and that's what I hang a lot of my figures with. You know, I have like a Magneto. I'll show you real quickly. Magneto. As I walk through my domain. You see Magneto? And it looks like he's actually floating there. Same thing with the Goblin. If you don't get up close, it's kind of hard to see that there's fishing line holding him. So, fishing line is probably the best thing to use for your Spider-Man figures if you're gonna, you know, swing them around, have them swinging around. But if you like having control over the bend and the actual shape of the webbing, then you might want to use twist ties. So anyway, that's really it as far as posability goes. You can see the posability. I'm not going to go through all of the posability. That's a little much in my opinion. It's a Spider-Man figure, and it's a well-done Spider-Man figure, and it's a Marvel Legends Spider-Man figure on top of that. So you can kind of tell... Ooh, sorry. Jeez, everything is trying to mess me up because I'm doing this all in camera. I hate that. He doesn't have the, you know, 1 billion joints arthritis syndrome that a lot of Spider-Man figures have when you have them standing up in any pose that's not an action pose. You know what I'm saying? He actually looks good standing up just about any way that you can, you know, pose him. Standing up straight, he actually looks like, you know, he looks heroic. He's got the heroic bends in his legs, and he looks cool. He kind of has like a Bruce Lee-ish kind of frame. He is a little bit bigger, and I think because he's a comic figure, you notice that's the trend. The comic book accurate figures usually have the bigger, more muscular frames, while the movie figures have like a little bit smaller musculature, which for Spider-Man, to me, that works better. You know what I'm saying? Like, it makes him feel more like the wiry Spider-Man that we all been reading for, you know, most of our lives, you know? So I like that. I mean, you see him standing next to the Amazing Spider-Man, and there's not that big. There's not a huge difference in size, but there's enough of a difference in size that you can tell one of these guys is clearly a comic book accurate figure, whereas the other guy is clearly a movie figure. But it's not a huge difference, and I like that. So, you know, this is definitely one of those figures that, you know, if you like Spider-Man, you better pick this dude up, because, I mean, it's a well-done figure. So much so that you could actually make this your, like, stealth Peter Parker or something, you know? It's a good figure. One thing that I have to point out, though, that seems like laziness on their part, and I noticed this Zemo is included in this. I'm going to pull him forward. What is the deal with the really half-done costumes where it's like an arrow and the symbol is in there, and, you know, the shoulders have costuming but black is the majority of the costume? Do you see the trend I'm talking about? Like, look at Zemo's chest. They couldn't just like put more detail in there. And I don't know if it's because it's me and I'm a designer, so I think about this stuff, but I mean, look at that. Do you see that? Point. His is higher up, still point. Their newer, the newer version of Hawkeye kind of has that same shit going on. He's got that weird purple arrow, like an arrow pointing down at his crotch area. You know, it's kind of weird. It's like, when did that become the standard for, you know, these designs? You know, I'm kind of like, you shouldn't do that. You should come up with something else, homie. Like, you know, use your imagination as opposed to settling for trends and things that have already been done. That kind of bothers me. I don't know. I'm not happy with that. But the figure I am happy with. I like his eyes. These eyes are really cool. I'm gonna sit him down so that we can look at these eyes a little bit more. You see that? It's kind of hard to see. Those eyes are dope. They did a really good job with them. I'm gonna take pictures of him up close though, so you guys could see more and you'd understand, you know, what's going on with those things, because I think I'm doing kind of a rush job with these because, well, I am on limited time right now. I figured on my lunch break I would review something. But you know, he's a cool figure. I definitely recommend him to those who want a new Spidey figure. Definitely pick him up. Now I'm gonna jump on to Black Cat. Black Cat was cool because I didn't expect to ever find this figure. And she is by far, by and large, one of the finest figures I have ever owned as far as like sculpt goes. I mean, good God. I mean, look at her. She's beautiful. They did a really good job with her. And, you know, as ODC That's Me pointed out, her breasticles, her tiggle bitties look amazing. I kind of do wish, though, because form follows function, and if you're going to be dodging bullets, you don't want soft, fleshy things such as those. Beautifully done fleshy things, but you don't want that exposed, you know? So if this suit is supposed to be protective in some kind of way, you'd kind of want to close that up, you know what I'm saying? But with all that being said, she still is a beautiful, beautiful figure, and I'm glad I picked her up. In some ways, I don't know, it's like the sculptors managed to do things that trump Catwoman. Even though you look at her and it's such a rip-off character. I mean, everybody knows this shit. We can't even pretend It's just her figure looks so much better. Something about their faces just look funky, in my opinion, and I can't really place it, but I shouldn't say faces. Something about this Catwoman's face looks jacked up, but man, Black Cat is gorgeous. Now, for all the praise that I'm going to give the sculpt, everything that I'm saying that's awesome about this sculpt, there are some issues with the figure itself. Her articulation is kind of bubkiss. I don't know why they did it like this, but she does not have, like, this is her split. That's as far as she can stand with her legs spread apart, unless you twist it some other kind of way like that, or that's it. They go in and they go out. That's it. That should never be. That's lame. Her arms are fine, but her legs are pretty bad in that respect. Her feet, she has the swivel, which is cool. You know, the pivot. She's got a twist up at the thigh, double jointed knees, which is nice. She's very stiff. I like the paint work, though. I got to give them that. They did some good paint work on the actual, you know, her boots. There's like blue in between there. On her hands, for some reason, both hands, I guess maybe it's because she has a whip, have that hidden G.I. Joe joint. You know what I'm saying? That goes downward like you're pointing a gun. Instead of having one that bends this way, she only bends up and down like that, you know, and I think that's kind of stupid because she should be clawing people. Although you can still, like, you know, you can still put her hands up and she can cut you like that, you know. Excuse my lame cat sounds, but that's it. Her head comes off really easily, like a lot of these new Marvel Legends. There goes the superior Spider-Man, who's not really that superior. Sorry about that. So yeah, for posing her, you're kind of limited. I mean, it seems like she can stand further apart that way than she can the other way. But, you know, her head doesn't really have that good range of motion. She does have an awesome diaphragm joint. Like, yeah, We used to do that with G.I. Joes all the time. So yeah, pardon my little relapse into my childhood. I know we were fucked up kids, right? But she's got this weird Catwoman-like whip. It's so weird that so much of her shtick feels like recycled Catwoman, you know? But, you know, whatever. She's come into her own. She's become such a woman. Look at how she's grown. I like this position for, this pose for a lot of dynamic characters because it makes them look like they're actually doing something. You know what I'm saying? She looks pretty good that way. So, all in all, I'm happy with this one. You know, I went through her posabilities and everything pretty quickly because, you know, I don't want to, like, harp on things, but I do want to point out when there's something wrong. So for all the praise that this figure would get due to her sculpt, you know, and she is well sculpted, good God, you got to point out that she's lacking in the posability, you know, articulation area. She comes with the, let me see, I think Spider-Man over there came with the arm. I can't remember if it's the right or the left arm. The superior Spider-Man did. She comes with the upper, with the whole torso for you to plug everything else into. He comes with another arm. He comes with a leg. He comes with a leg. Or maybe it's the other way around. But that's how I got the majority of them. And I didn't buy this wave for the collect and connect because, you know, I don't give a shit about that. And I have the real Goblin. You know, the Marvel Select Goblin is far superior to every other version of the Goblin that we've gotten so far. So, you know, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Now let's look at her face.
That is a bad mamma jamma. Bad mamma jamma. Like, she almost reminds me of artwork that Yeah. Artwork that J. Scott Campbell did. I'm just playing around. Man. And of course, there's the man. I can't help it. It's just funny because they're just begging for your attention. So it's safe to say when you look at this figure, she is fucking gorgeous. I mean, they really did the damn thing with her, and it's strange that it took Hasbro so long to do this. She's got the cool superheroic look to her and the physique to go with it, but she's feminine, you know what I mean? She looks very feminine, not like the old Hasbro Marvel Legends and the Toy Biz ones from back in the day where the women just did not look right. And it's strange because other companies were doing it properly. I mean, they didn't have the articulation the Marvel Legends had, but they were making women that looked like women. Some of them were a little bit, you know, on the slutty side, like the stuff that Claiborne Moore and his people were sculpting over with the Top Cow toys. You remember Critical Mass from Rising Stars? I mean, she's got a really feminine, she looks like a really feminine physique and some big old tiggle bitties. But she's on the slutty side. And she has like no articulation. But you know, it's another company out there that's an example of what was going on at the time of the old Marvel Legends, and somehow the articulation just didn't match. The same thing goes for DC Collectibles or DC Direct at the time. You remember this Batgirl from Justice? Their Alex Ross line. I mean, look at her physique. She looks extremely heroic. Not slutty at all. Very statuesque, but super feminine. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things that it seemed like the guys who may have let me focus this where you can see both of them. Or not. It's just one of those things. It seems like the guys who were making those figures back in the day didn't understand how to make women look, you know, sexy and powerful and not slutty. But here, we got the best of both worlds. She's beautiful, and at the same time, she's heroic looking. So, if you get a chance, jump at this figure. She's kind of rare, but if you get a chance and you see her, please pick her up. You won't be sorry. She's not perfect because of the articulation, but as far as, you know, taking up a spot on your shelf in your collection, man, you will not be sorry. So let's move forward. Next up, I think he's the last of my figures that I picked up. Yeah, he is the last one. So I have Spidey standing up right here. We have the Ultimate Beetle. Now this is a strange design for me because I don't remember the Beetle ever really looking like this. I read Ultimate Spider-Man, but I just can't, for some reason, I just can't remember him. And he reminds me of a Kamen Rider or something, you know? And I've heard a lot of people mention that he kind of does remind them of Kamen Riders. But yeah, I don't know what it is, but this sculpt is pretty damn nice. I gotta give them their props. They did a really good job. Look at these big old chunky feet, Ninja Turtle feet, you know? Pretty cool. But yeah, I like him. He's pretty cool looking. I'm surprised that they were able to get the detail so good. I mean, for a character like this, why did they even go in this direction? You know what I mean? It's kind of strange that they actually decided, yeah, we're gonna make a buzzing beetle, ultimate buzzing beetle. Like, really? Of all the characters you could make? But his design is pretty dope. He kind of got some, he reminds me of Lord Zed. Don't tell him I said that. The wrist shooters, the guns on his wrists are awesome. And that's it. You see the silver, the red. He's cast in red. The silver is painted on. The yellow is painted on. And the green in his wings is painted on. And that's it. So very minimalist approach to painting these figures. He has the exact same articulation as the others. He just has way more range, way better of a range of motion than the Black Cat figure. And he's not necessarily, you know, he's close, but he doesn't have the butterfly joint that
Spider-Man has, or the Spider-Men have. You can remove his wings. They come off. There's a little peg. Sorry for all the shadows. There's a little peg. That's what they look like. That's what the back looks like. This is what his back looks like without it. He has a really cool ab crunch, though. I love it. I was like, wow, it reminds me of the Soda Street Fighter figures, and he has a lot of range with that ab crunch. So, and his joints are really stiff. That's something I've had with many of the Infinite series figures. It's like they're either paint is sticking in there, or I don't know what it is. It's just they're really, really stiff. His shoulders are really stiff. Like, you see how it's kind of jutting out a little bit? I couldn't really do any more to get it to, you know, to go in more. And I'm afraid if I do, I'll pop something, you know? But I like this design. It reminds me so much of a Kamen Rider. So much. But it's really dope. I like it. I like it. I like the little things on his wrist. I like that you can tell he's a tech-oriented character. Now, what I don't like is that they kind of skimped on his back. You can see that those parts right there in the center of his back are probably silver in the comic, because that's where the wings would sprout out of. You know what I'm saying? So, boo to them for that. But, you know, there's a decent amount of paint. I just don't like this cheap approach Hasbro's doing. I mean, look at this Cops figure over here. He also has limited paint, but the paint and the sculpt kind of match, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's wearing a suit, and typically suits are all one color, you know, and then they sculpted the pinstripes. In here, they sculpted a lot of detail, but for some reason, it just feels like they were lazy with what they decided to paint and what they didn't decide to paint. I don't know, maybe it's just me. And I know a lot of people are going to just be like, yeah, it's just you. But, I mean, it's like the same thing they did with Electro. Electro is a cool sculpt, but then, like, the paint work was just lazy. I mean, look at little blue sprays. Like, if it's white, I mean, if it's light, I'm sorry, they should have used white in the center of that blue. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like they do with lightsabers and stuff. Or kind of like if you look at his hands, you see how it goes from dark blue to white to, like, blue? Or to light blue to white? They should have a variation in there. And then they didn't do that. And it's like, what the fuck? But then, like, you look at Black Cat, and then they did the same kind of, like, blue. If you look at her hair, you see how it's, like, variation in there? It's not lazy like that. It looks like someone just said spritz with the same blue all over the place. And then with him, it's like no variation of color. It's just silver. Just plain silver, very cheap looking, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't mind necessarily, because I'll take pictures like this where my lighting, I've got different color lights, you know what I'm saying? So I have this cool, this really cold blue light that helps add some, you see how there's like a little bit of that cold blue, I'll move closer so you can see what I'm talking about, that's reflecting off of him. So it makes the silver pop just a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm not gonna bitch too much, but if you're not using multi-directional lights, or, you know, several lights from multiple directions, your character is just going to look like a silver toy. You know, that's why sometimes when I see reviews where they point that out, I'm like, really? You pointed that out? Why? It's kind of lame. But, he is a cool character. I like him a lot. And, yeah, what you see is what you get. His only accessory are the wings. Cool, you know. And, that's it. But the sculpt is superb. I think he's the sleeper, you know, hit of the line, because most people don't know who he is unless they either are big fans of the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon show, because I think he popped up in that, or unless they're really comic book fans. But, you know, he does look cool, and I think he looks, you know, cool enough to kind of stand toe-to-toe with good old Tony. And, you know, he looks like maybe Roxxon or Hammer gave him his shit, you know what I'm saying? I can't remember what his plot is, so forgive me. It's been a long time. But all in all, if you like, you know, your techie kind of figures, then he works, you know what I'm saying? He's a good, definitely a good figure to have. And that's my review of the line, you know what I'm saying? I don't really have
I don't have what's his name? I don't have the Carnage. I wasn't able to find him. So if I do find him, then you'll get that review. But for now, this is where I'm gonna stop with the line, because, you know, that's everybody. You know, all the people I was really interested in getting. And I like the line. It's a very cool line, very well done line. Very well done as far as paint. It's the best Marvel Legends line that or wave that Hasbro has put out yet. And I think that the Captain America wave that's coming will be next. And that wave will be worth, you know, a lot as well, because, you know, that Black Widow figure looks fucking amazing. I was like, damn, they really did the damn thing with her, and I'm really impressed. I really want that whole Mandroid bullshit. They can keep that to themselves, because Mandroid looks like just a really lame version of the Ironmonger, and I hate when they do that shit. It makes me so angry. But yeah, all in all, this wave is pretty damn nice. I have no issues, you know, or few issues with anything that was offered. You know, this is one of the few times where I feel like, oh, I knew that was gonna happen. This is one of the few times where I feel like Hasbro actually got it. It's like they listened, they understood what was going on, what was necessary, what was needed. They did what was needed. They fixed a lot of the things that were issues with other lines, and made us happy, you know what I'm saying? And to me, that's what it's all about, you know? Not just making us happy, but doing things right. So, you know, Spidey is a win. Both Spideys are a win, you know? Nice articulation. Black Cat is just, like, amazing win. I mean, god damn, look at her. Electro is kind of meh. If you don't have an Electro, he's worth it, you know what I'm saying? Because it's the what? We've had maybe 2 or 3 Electros ever, maybe 4. But this is not a horrible version of him. It would have been nice if the costume was green or something, but, you know, whatever. It looks like the movie, except for the face. And then Buzzing Beetle, that's like I said, the sleeper of the line. He looks really freaking cool. So, yeah, that's it for me as far as these guys go. Next, I'm gonna do the 2 Captain America figures that I got, you know? I can't find any of the other guys at any place that I'm going, and it's kind of frustrating. You know, I go to Toys R Us a lot, but I wanted Zemo because we've never had a Baron Zemo, so that helps. And this cap is better than the previous Return of Marvel Legends caps, the 2 of them that we got, you know? I'm not talking about Bucky cap, I'm talking about Steve Rogers and then the Ultimate cap. This one kicks the shit out of both of them. And some of the reviews I'm seeing are atrocious because they're all acting like those ones were done better than this, and I have to disagree. So I'll do that review next, and you'll see that from me. I'll do a quick review eventually of Azrael, of General Zod, which I've had for a long time, and I've got some other people over here, Walking Dead figures, Panthro, you know, Mumra. I have 2 Lion-O's to do. I think I already did the review, I just gotta upload it. Shredder, Rat King, Mousers, you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot to review, but I will. But right now, this has been my review of the majority of the Infinite Series Amazing Spider-Man 2 figures. So I hope you dug, and that's it for me. You've been great. Peace outside.